Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's Christel, and on this channel is all about kingdom marriage, relationships, and love. I don't know what happened to my voice today, but my voice just I don't know what's happening. I think I sang too much, and that's why. But I'm talking, as you've seen the title, I'm talking about infidelity, the realities of infidelity. One of the things that happen when people hear about a person that has been infidel or a person that has not been faithful to their spouse, one of the general reactions that happen is to lash out on the person, insult, and say things like the person put the person in a position where they are the worst kind of human being that exists, right? But I'm going to be talking about the realities of infidelity. I don't believe in a person. I don't value, or one part of my values is faithfulness. And I don't caution infidelity in any way. But yet I'm going to be talking about the realities of infidelity. And I'm going to start with commitment, right? By laying the groundwork on what commitment is all about, because that's where everything starts. Commitment is independent of feelings. It doesn't matter what you're feeling, right? That's why many people settle for feelings, and in the long run, what they were feeling, what was sustaining that feeling, when it comes to an end in the course of the marriage or in the course of a relationship, one person usually feels like, I'm no longer in love. I don't love this person anymore, so I back out. And people go as far as saying things like, the other person has changed, and that one is another story for a different day, because people do change, right? People do start misbehaving because now they've entered a relationship or they've entered marriage, and they feel like their final, it was an achievement for them, and so they carry it like a certificate, like a trophy, and they put it somewhere. That's why you hear some women say things like, you got married to me and you put me as a decoration in your home, like I'm not a wife, like I'm not a human being. It was the object, they I don't know what word to use right now, because the English, I'm coming short of the right word in English to use. They see people like objects. That's how they treat people, right? Unconsciously, because they know these are human beings, but unconsciously there has been a programming in their minds to see other people of the opposite sex like their toys or objects, especially people who um see sex as casual, something casual that they should have with whosoever and whenever they feel as to. But now I'm going to be talking about key things. Why do people cheat on their spouses, right? What are the realities, real realities of infidelity? I remember discussing with my brother, and we spoke about comfort in the flesh. The Bible speaks about comfort in the flesh. The Bible says there is no comfort in the flesh, because when people go through things in life, they feel like, if I just had somebody around me to cuddle, to have sex, then everything would fall in place. Then they will feel much better. But what usually happens is that they cut pieces of their soul attached to people, and in the course of doing that, they exchange. There is an exchange that happens, and they live with other problems. That's why many people found themselves in unwanted pregnancies, and they do not know and what to do. Why others get stuck with other people that they never intended to marry in the first place, because a baby found itself in the process. So comfort in the flesh, no way. So I was discussing with my brother, and he was like, no. He said one of the things that made him put an end to a kind of lifestyle that he was living, because of where he was and the kind of friends he was entertaining, was that the Holy Spirit ministered to him and told him clearly that there is no comfort in the flesh. You will keep keeping things that you never wanted to keep in the first place. If you seek comfort in the flesh, you seek comfort in the Lord as a single person, right? Until you meet the right person, the person that you feel, this is the person I'm supposed to settle with. And so many times people say things like, I'm never going to cheat. Like I was saying in the beginning, They go as far as cursing those that have cheated, and they say, I'm never going to cheat. But the truth is that for you not to cheat, you must have fidelity as a value, faithfulness as a value, and you must know God. Yes, you must know God, because if it's just by willpower, willpower has a way it can contain or protect you for a period of time or culture. That's why there are people that when they move from one region to another, or they move from a particular country to another country, what happens with them is that immediately they start acting and doing things that they never used to do before. If you notice in the western parts of the country, uh, family was something that was valued so much, and faithfulness was something that was valued so much. But there has been a devaluation of those values now. You can see homosexuality rising so high. You can see many men wanting to be enticed, wanting to be entertained by girls in the sector of Africa. Those are things I've seen. You can see porn becoming something of, it has always been there, right? But now it's so rampant, it's spreading it's spreading like wildfire. And people are beginning to have this animal behavior because the things they watch on social media keep enticing them to do things that they never really maybe intended to do. So if you say, for instance, you're a faithful person, you don't infidelity is not part of your part of your the things that you consider or you envision to carry out one day, but you spend your time being enticed by other women, being entertained by other women who is not your partner. Eventually, sooner or later, you're going to fall into that. You're going to, it's not magic, it doesn't happen by chance. It is something that is well rooted, right? It's a choice. People say it's a choice, but before being a choice, there is a knowledge factor, and you have to be informed so that you can make the right choices. And so there is also the issue of pattern. I was talking about social media. Now I'm talking about patterns, right? Um, Patterns in families. There are people who come from polygamous homes in nature, and they have to dig deep. Maybe they are not necessarily that their grandparents even had many. Some people, their grandparents or parents never necessarily had many wives, but infidelity was a culture, and because the mothers in the home indulged that, and they were willing to cope with it, especially on this other part of Africa, they were willing to cope with it. The children grow up, and infidelity is something that is becomes normal, that is perpetuated from generation to generation. Now there is a case where it's rooted and it's a spirit factor, right? That is empowering it. It lives from normality, from accepting it as a norm, as a culture in the family, to a spirit powering it. That's why people go, yeah, married people sometimes be like, a married man or married woman be like, I would love my husband to do this and I would love them more. You notice that there is something that draws you, particularly in other people, that your spouse for which you settled for doesn't necessarily have those things. But for somehow, some reasons, those things have mastery over you. And if you have not worked on that thing, because if you read the book of Genesis, God told Abel, or was it Cain that killed Abel? God was warning him that there is something that is seeking to master you. He said, sin is knocking at your door and it's seeking to master you. God has given us dominion in Genesis chapter 1. He gave dominion to humanity, meaning there are many things that we're supposed to master, and those things are not supposed to master us. Many things that are mastering people is as a result of the fall of man, right, in the Garden of Eden. And so, people not being able to master themselves, or being attached to certain things. Enticement isn't always about a woman that has done makeup, looking nude, and all having nudes, sending nudes, and doing dressing half naked and all those things. No, enticement also has to do with the fact that there is a particular thing. It may be about the way somebody puts their gloss, it may be about the way somebody does their hair. Very funny things, right? But they are truth. They are just, it's just the truth, and it's just the reality that people are living. You're that kind of person that if you notice that a woman has this, a man has this, you rarely can bypass those things, right? And then maybe you can convince yourself that no, I'm never going to go closer to this person if they have so and so qualities. What you have to sit down is to sit down, have meditate, and ask yourself, where is this coming from? Why am I drawn to this? If you notice, people who cheat are drawn to a particular kind of people, right? Though in my cult, the African context and culture, people who cheat a lot are generally associated to dogs. There is the dogs, they call it the dog spirit, right? Now there are people, that's why I said cheating has different the manifestation of it has different sources, and that's what I'm talking about. That's where the title of this video comes from, the truths of about infidelity, the realities of infidelity. Because now, while other people, it's about the media, the things they hear, the things they entertain themselves with that eventually lead them to, there's a spirit factor, like I'm saying, right? Because now other people, these things I was explaining, first of all, about not being able to bypass certain things. It might be traits that you like, that for you, you're like, if a woman has this, I cannot bypass her, I just fall in love immediately. Like, what? If a woman has these traits, you just fall in love. What you don't even understand is that it's a mental programming that happened. I remember back then in school, where we were growing up, we used to have these posters of Chris Brown on our walls that we would buy from magazines and come and paste home. And it gave us the group of ladies with which we were during that period. It gave us a type and a particular type of man that we should be looking for. It made it in such a way that if somebody even saw a husband material, like people say wife material, husband material, they will not settle for it, because their mindset, their programming was for a particular type of guy. And what we didn't realize back then is that the particular type of their traits, the traits that you like, right, and the futures that you like, or that you have been programmed with, when you meet that kind of guy, there's a character that goes with it. And if that character is not necessarily what you need, there's a personality that goes with that type of person that your mind has been programmed to search for and to settle with. And that person is nothing like husband material or wife material, right? From magazines, like I'm saying. So I was talking about patterns, right? There is a culture, there is pattern, there is enticement, there is understanding the fact that settling should have nothing to do with our feelings, but you have to learn to override feelings, because you're going to feel so many things in this life, and feelings are very deceptive. Now I'm going to be talking about the job sector, right? Because there are people that enter a particular job sector and infidelity becomes their norm. I'm going to talk about truck drivers in my country, because truck drivers, they are known for that. Like, infidelity is something that they are literally known for. It's something that is like a sector that has been polluted with infidelity, because even if somebody didn't want to go be infidel, the moment they say they're moving into that sector, everybody knows they're going to be infidel. Now, when it comes to, there are two sectors in my country actually. There is a truck conductor sector, and there is the military, right? Many military people I know, what caused their death was not even the fact that they went for war or they were trying to defend their country. It was infidelity that killed them, right? It was sleeping around that killed them. Some of them contact HIV. Some of them found themselves with the wrong women, or women in places, right, that were dated by various men, and in the course of the clash and fights to conquer the woman that they were fighting for, that's how they end up losing their lives. So And during the trainings, if you see the way they are being trained, especially here in my country, during the training period, they are already they work on their mentality, and they let them understand that there is nothing wrong with not being faithful. In fact, they try to give them a different kind of identity, and they label them as infidels, right? So people go as far as calling others eternal infidels, meaning there is nothing that can ever be done to make them faithful. And so I don't know if this video bless you. This is just part one of infidelity. I'm going to be bringing to you part two of the realities of infidelity, right? And so um before we get to our next video, I want you to like, share, comment, and tell me what you think. I would be so glad to read and to exchange with you. And I'm also going to drop a link of our blog on the comment section. You're going to find useful materials. Successful marriage, like everything that is successful here on earth, doesn't happen by chance. It requires preparation. On that blog, you're going to find useful materials like dating again, recovering from divorce. You're going to find patterns, how to identify whether there are patterns, negative patterns in your family as far as relationships are concerned, that you're carrying around that needs to be broken. And so many other. You're going to find financial protocol for couples, and so that you can prepare yourself financially before thinking marriage, because one of the things that has caused havoc in homes is finances. And so see you next time, and bye.